My friends at Easy Cater are workplace catering pros, helping you find food for everything from daily employee meals to staff meetings and special events. Visit easycater.com/leaderassistant to find out more.
Hi, I'm Cath Harrison. I'm a virtual PA from the UK. My favourite quote is, "You don't need a new day to start over, you need a new mindset."
The Leader Assistant podcast exists to encourage and challenge assistants to become confident, game-changing leader assistants.
The Leader Assistant podcast is exclusively brought to you by Goody, which provides effortless gifting for all occasions. If you're tired of sending tacky, impersonal business gifts, then you should definitely check out Goody. My friends at Goody offer a collection of hundreds of curated brands like Levain Bakery, Therabody, Milk Bar, and Ember mugs. With Goody, if your recipient doesn't like your gift, they can swap it out for one they do like. You can find perfect gifts for any occasion, whether it's work anniversaries, birthdays, new hire onboarding, or company swag. It's free to start gifting, and you get a $20 credit when you sign up. Also, be sure to mention the Leader Assistant podcast when signing up, and Goody will add an extra $10 credit to your account. So go to leaderassistant.com/goody to disrupt the inefficiencies in your team's gifting strategy. Again, that's leaderassistant.com/goody. Hey friends, welcome to the Leader Assistant podcast. It's your host, Jeremy Burrows, and I'm excited to be speaking with Cath Harrison today. Cath has 35 years of experience in the PA, EA administrative roles throughout her career, and we're on episode 202. You can check out the show notes at leaderassistant.com/202. Cath, how's it going?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, what part of the world are you in?
I'm actually based in Derby, which is Derbyshire. It's in the UK, and I'm kind of right in the middle of the UK. So I've always lived in the Midlands.
Okay. What's something about you personally? Do you have kids, dogs, cats, hobbies?
I have. Okay, so I've got two boys. They're 20 and the other one's 18 next week. And so my eldest son, he's actually deaf. He's profoundly deaf. And they're both working. We've got 3 dogs. I'm not married. I'm divorced. I got divorced 2017. We've got 3 dogs that I tend to try and juggle during the day and work. So yeah, it's been busy. My sons decided that they were gonna buy these puppies during lockdown, and now they've gone back to work. And guess who's looking after the dogs?
You're stuck with the dogs.
I'm stuck with the dogs at home, yeah.
Nice. Well, let's, thanks for sharing. Tell us a little bit about, your career journey and how you became an assistant, and then we can kind of go through that whole process and where you're at now.
Okay. So, a long time ago, I left school when I was 15. So I'm 51 now. So at 15, I left school, and I went to I went to work as it was called a youth training scheme, and it was almost like an apprenticeship for an office role back in the day. It was on £27.50 a week. And it was like a 2-year thing where you did work. You worked in an office environment, and you went to college for 1 day and studied business studies. So that's where I started. Did that for 2 years, and that was in Derby. Derby, if I don't know whether you know, but it's a big train making part of the UK. We kind of have quite a big railway industry here, and Derby is like the centre of it. And it was actually with British Rail Engineering Limited that I got that role initially. So after the YTS finished, after the 2 years, I stayed on for another 6 years as PA to the planning manager. And so I worked there for 8 years. Unfortunately, at that time, there was a lot of like privatisation of the railways, and there was a lot of kind of redundancies looming and things like that. And I'd actually met somebody who went on to be my husband, but we both worked in the same place. So it was a bit of kind of all of your eggs in one basket thing. And with the redundancies, it was probably best that one of us didn't work there and didn't both end up getting made redundant. So I decided that I would leave and try and find another role. And also in those kind of industries, it's very much you're waiting for somebody to leave to get a role as a PA and kind of progress within the PA ladder as it was then. I'm talking, in the 80s, 1980s. And so anyway, then I got a role as a PA to an IT director. And so from then on, I worked there for a good few years, and then he left because he got another role. He got a promotion, and he wanted me to go with him. So he lived down in London. So I went and worked for him, moved with him down that, didn't move with him. I moved with the role with him and supported him for a couple of years. And then I was about to get married. So I thought it's probably best I'm not kind of in London most of the time, and I'm probably find something closer to home. So I kind of got another job back up here. And came to work then for Hewlett-Packard. And I was then with Hewlett-Packard for 17 years. So I worked for them for quite a long time. As you probably know, they're an American corporation. They were then taken over 17 years later. I had 2 little gaps in there for having the children. But 17 years later, they were actually taken over by DXC Technology. And with that came some redundancies. They were relocating a lot of the roles. At that time, a lot of my team were based all over the UK. We worked from home for HP. I'd worked from home for them for 10 years at HP. And in those days, it was a really, there wasn't many companies that were kind of allowing staff to work from home.
I was going to say that's pretty innovative.
Yeah. it was, and at the time, it was really something that so many people, what, you work from home, and well, how do you work from home? How do you do it? So it was quite, we obviously we never had the luxury of things like Zoom and things like that. Then it was a bit Skypey, but not many people had it, so it just tended to be voice conferences and things like that. So they decided that they were just going to have 2 office locations in the UK, but DXC wanted everybody back in an office, and I was given a choice of, it's a place up near Glasgow in Scotland, which is probably about 4 hours away from me, or Newcastle, which again is about 2.5 hours up north. And unfortunately, with 2 children, it just wasn't a good move. So I decided to take my redundancy, and also at that time I was going through a divorce as well. So it was all a bit, wasn't really an option to kind of move the kids and get divorced and all the rest of it. So I got divorced. Then I went to work for the client. It was actually the chief executive of a company in the UK called Euro Car Parts, and they were based about an hour away from where I lived. I worked for them for a year, moved back to try and get a job closer to home because it was a bit of, it was a very long, there were very long hours. It was 8 till 6, but then with the over an hour travel, it was a long day for me with having 2 boys at school, at home waiting for mum to come home and make the tea, and it was about 8 o'clock in the evening when I was getting back. So I found something closer to home, and then I got made redundant just before COVID. Now, we didn't know COVID was looming. It was, just that in the February time when it was, 2020, it was just kind of on the horizon. If you got a cold, you just got asked if you'd been to China recently by the doctor. That was about as much as they wanted to know. But so I got made redundant, started looking for a role, had a new role lined up at Derby University as the EA to the HR director at Derby University. And then COVID just came like a whirlwind. Our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, came on TV and told everybody one Monday evening, you must stay at home. Companies need to, everybody's got to work from home. You must not, basically we were going into isolation. Nobody was allowed to leave home. And I'm now thinking, how am I going to start this job on Wednesday? So they actually contacted me, and just said, really sorry, but, we don't know how long this is going to go on for. And so we obviously can't expect you to kind of sit around and wait. So if you're still available when this is all over, come back to us. And I'm thinking, wonderful, I've now got no salary, there's no jobs. What do I do? So I just kind of Googled, and I'm thinking I could do it from home, but how do I do it? So I literally just set to work trying to find out. I didn't really know virtual assistants kind of existed at that point. It was just one of those things of, can I do it from home? But then how do I find clients? And my whole thing was, I thought maybe I could do it through like a temp agency, surely there's still people needed. But no, all the agencies weren't taking on. There was absolutely nothing. So yeah, I just thought, right, I'm going to set my own company up, and I'm just going to go all over LinkedIn and tell people this is what I do and see how I got on. And it was, it was quite daunting. I was kind of really, I will say now, if I wasn't pushed into that situation, I would never, ever, ever have done it because I would never think that I would have had the confidence to have set up my own business, to kind of, do the whole, as an employee, which I had been at that time for like 35 years in different bits and pieces. I've never had to go out and get the work. I've never had to do the marketing, the sales, the invoicing. Selling myself has been a real kind of, it's very difficult to go out there and try and sell you and try and get the work in. Right. What makes me different from all the other hundreds of VAs, but you just build that confidence. And it's really now, so I'm probably about 2.5 years in, and I am actually so pleased that I was pushed into that, because I love it. I really love the role. I'm kind of fully booked now. I've got some lovely clients. You go through a process of learning. At first, it was a scattergun approach. It was like, I'm going to open pages on Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest and TikTok, and then all of a sudden it was like, you know what? I don't actually get anything or want anything off those platforms. It's just the LinkedIn audience. So it's establishing where you're going to get your clients. Where, you probably know, you will know this. It's, where do your clients hang out? And, right. And with my background in the corporate world, it does tend to be LinkedIn is my platform of choice for finding clients. And I do a lot of networking as well, which is absolutely brilliant for just kind of, with the role that I do, I'll have a client that will say, oh, can you find me? I need somebody that can help me with this, this or this. And just the fact that I know that guy that I was on the networking call last week. I know that he does that. So, and this is exactly why as VAs, it's really important to do networking, because if they're in the same situation and somebody says, oh, I really could do with somebody just to organise my inbox, this, that and the other, and they'll say, Cath, I'll put you in touch with her. She, so it's just, I think that is a really good thing for VAs to maybe, spend a bit of time doing. But I don't get a lot of time for doing it at the moment because I'm working. And that's the whole thing, along with your day job, you do have to be aware you've still got to try and keep getting clients to come in. You can't kind of sit on your laurels. I was talking to one VA earlier on today, and she was a bit down because in 1 week, 3 clients have just gone. One of them has got personal problems, one of them finances, and the other one, just the piece of work that they were working on has dried up. And it can go like that, and then suddenly, you've like I say, so it's very important you just still keep your visibility and just keep networking, keep your visibility there, and keep posting on social media. Much as that, I don't really like posting on social media, but it's got to be done.
Right. Yeah, well, that's
Here
awesome.
I am now. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your story. So what are maybe throughout that whole process, what's maybe a tip for those listening who are debating, hey, you know what? I'm done with my 9 to 5 in-office job. I want to work remotely and I want to get multiple clients and kind of run my own deal. What's maybe your top tip for those taking that jump from in-office employee to, contracted virtual assistant or running your own virtual assistant business?
Yeah, I think it's really good. There's so many Facebook and there's so many Facebook groups with VAs in, and when I first when I joined these things, I just thought we're all VAs, so naturally everybody's going to be competing against each other. But I've really found completely the opposite. Everybody is so helpful. And so the thing would be, I mean, if you go into Facebook and just search virtual assistant or, anything like that for the group in the groups, you will find a lot, and you can go in there, and I do see it quite a lot. And there's lots of us, I mean, myself included, because I know I've been there and I know how it feels to kind of, some of them, it's a bit more difficult for those that are thinking, I've got a full-time job here. I could kind of set it up in the background, but when do I take that leap? You see, I was forced into it. And like I've said to you, I don't ever think I'd ever been brave enough to think, you know what, I'm going from like a steady income,
Right.
Sick pay, holiday pay, and all this to something I don't even know whether it's going to get off the ground or whether it's going to work. So I do think, just going in there and just almost sitting on the sidelines for a bit and just listening to, I know getting clients is a real difficulty for some, but there's lots of people out there who will help. And a brilliant way of getting that experience first off is associate work for other VAs. And I used to do this when I started. So a VA will say, I've got a client and they need support with some personal admin. It's going to be about 5 hours a week. Is there anybody that can help with that? And you go in, and obviously the lead VA has got the client, but you go in, do the work, and then you get like a slightly lower rate than what the lead VA is getting, but they're normally all really good. It's how I started off. It just gives you a bit of experience, a bit of oh, you know what? I mean, I started doing things again, a bit of a scattergun. Well, VAs do social media, so I'll offer that as a service. And I started doing social media posts as a service. And like I've just said to you, I hate doing my own. So why on earth, I thought, I would enjoy doing anybody else's? I've got no idea. So I don't do that now. I've taken it off my website because I think it's one of those things that if you don't enjoy doing it, I'll put it off. And it's like, oh, I'll go and do this first and then I'll do that. And then it's the end of the day thinking, why am I, it's my business. Why don't I just do what I enjoy doing? And that's been a real kind of dilemma for me in thinking, well, VAs do this and VAs do that. And it's like, well, I've not got the experience. And I'd rather know that if a client was wanting something like that doing, they were going to somebody who, one, enjoyed doing it, two, had got a lot more experience than I have doing it. So I stick to what I know and what I love doing. So it's made me a lot more happier in my role. And plus it gives me a lot more confidence because I know that I can do it with my eyes shut when I'm talking about something. So it's, you go through a lot of these little learning curves, I think, when you're kind of starting out and thinking maybe you've got to do this and that and the other. And you haven't. Just stick to what you know, or stick to the clients that you've supported. I know some that will just support, they'll just support like HR companies. Some will just support legal, people. Some, like in the wealth management sector, they've always worked in that area, so they're really familiar with that. My client, I've worked for HP, I've worked for engineering companies, so I've got a bit of a varied experience with different sectors, different organisations. So I don't really have a niche sector what I support, but the tasks that I do are all very similar, whether it's to a solicitor or to, I've got an author who's a client. He's an author, but his elderly mother lives near me, and her husband died last year, and I've been going around and helping her with paperwork and things like that, and just kind of, because he's on the south coast of the UK, and I have just been kind of doing things. He kind of comes up every now and again to see her, and I go in and we've helped sort all the paperwork out for the wills and the probate and stuff like that. And because it's only local, it's literally 10 minutes up the road that she lives, I do actually go on site for that. It's not something that I do with all clients. East Midlands Airport, I do the minute taking for East Midlands Airport for their community fund meetings. And some of those are remote and some of those are on site. So, but, it's just one of those things that you decide whether you're happy to go and do on-site things. Now we can. It's lovely just to get out every now and again. So, it's I don't like it. I don't like doing it too much because there's a lot of wasted time. There's a lot of wasted time traveling around, but I know that it only takes me 20 minutes to get up there. So, and I know, it's not too bad a route, but I certainly wouldn't go on site to see clients down in London once a week or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, how did you, or let's step back a second. So have you gotten to the point where, and if you're okay sharing this and comfortable sharing this, have you gotten to the point where, and how long did it take you, if you have, where you're basically making the same amount that you were making at your day job or close to it?
I now make more than I made on my day job. The difference is, like I just mentioned, we have to take into account holidays. If I'm off, I don't get any money. So I kind of, you have to have a bit of a buffer. Sick pay, if I'm poorly, you don't get paid for being, for not working. However, it's the monetary side. I probably get probably double a month what I used to in my old role, but of course that can change. You've not got that stability. Yeah. That's it. You've not got that stability and that kind of thing. Well, I know on the 28th of November that I'm going to get X amount in my account. There's me outgoings, there's me incomings. At the end of when it's all gone out, I've got that amount to last me the month. Right. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. And plus, they've not paid their invoice. And I've got to do...
And you got to track them down.
That's it. Now, luckily, I've never had any, bad payers, bad clients. But also, with a lot of my clients, I do retainers. And so that is normally payment in advance on retainers. And I think I do prefer it that way, because then if they don't pay at the beginning of December, then I don't work.
You don't work, yeah.
Exactly, perfect. Yeah.
What's your number one tip for working from home?
I've got this thing that I can't work unless I've almost got ready for work. You know what I mean? I kind of have to... I have to put my makeup on, I have to get dressed. I can't just come down and sit in my pajamas and work. I don't know. I just can't get in the zone at all. And I think that's what I say. I worked for Hewlett-Packard for 10 years. And I did have a luxury when I was married. I had a bigger house and I had an office. And this is what I aspire to get my own office in this house. I had to downsize when I got divorced. But and it was literally, I went into work in the morning in that little office, and then I'd pop out at lunchtime, I'd have a bite to eat, I'd go back in, and then I would come out, switch my computer off, and, that's the end of the day. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury, like I say, of having a separate room. I'd love to, that's one of the things I'm trying to save for that will come. But to have, something, an office, perhaps, one of the garden offices that people are kind of having now.
Right.
And to go to work effectively in the garden and then come back out, because the trouble is when you do live around it, it's so tempting. And I do it most nights and think, right, I've had tea, I've done this, I've done that. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to go and check my emails and I'll just do this. And then I can sit here and I could be here at 11 o'clock thinking, I really need to go to bed. But then I do kind of go to bed a lot happier because I'm thinking I'm ahead of myself for the morning now. I've got, I know exactly where I am. When I go onto my computer in the morning, I've got nothing left to answer. I've got, I kind of get my stall set out. So I think my tip would actually be, I do think you have to be quite, with me, I have to be quite disciplined to move from this chair at some point during the day because, it's very easy just to sit here and then I'm thinking, I'll do this. And then before you know it, it's like 3 o'clock and I'm like, I've literally not moved. And so you do have to make sure you do have some time for yourself. It's a complete myth that people just kind of work from home and do absolutely nothing and go swanning off and shopping and ladies at lunch and all the rest. Well, it is for me. I don't know whether I've not quite got there yet, but I put more hours in now than I ever have as an employee. But then, you know what? When it's your own business, you're happier too because it's your own little, it's your own little entity.
Yeah, and you get to see what the results of the more work. Whereas if you're, working that hard and working to the bone for someone else, you don't always get to see the results. And so definitely there's a balance, of course. But yeah, I like how you said, it can be helpful to have that designated space. Make sure you get up from that designated space. Yeah. And then even having that routine of, all right, I'm going to get up, get dressed, get cleaned up like I am going to work and then go to that designated space. It can help you. I found that as well. Like I have thankfully I have a little office and I can just, turn the light off and leave my computer and just go to the rest of the house and try not to work again. But yeah, well, Cath, thank you so much for sharing your story. What's maybe the last thing you want to say to assistants listening from all over the world? What do you want to leave them with on this conversation?
I really think I personally I've worked in this industry for over 35 years now, and what really sticks with me is I don't think that there's a lot of people coming into this kind of industry anymore. I don't know why it is. I think maybe people leave school and they've got, in the UK, people have to stay in education till they're 18 now. So they kind of set the stall out to perhaps be doctors or, something perhaps that they see as more of a career. But this to me has been a brilliant career. It's been so varied. I've met loads of fantastic people, and I really would like, one of the things I'm trying to do, I'm kind of getting involved with a few like PA organisations, is to try and get younger people back into this role because we are all of a certain age. I do find that. I really do find that. I've been to a few PA kind of events down in London, and we are all of a certain age. You know what I mean? So it would be really nice to get some younger people really interested in this, and to lose that perception that it's just office work, or the kind of perception that perhaps I don't know. I just think, and I think I've seen a few articles. I think I saw you post one quite recently actually about how industries now are actually coming to understand how important it is for senior directors or senior people within the company to have a wing woman, a right-hand woman, to kind of take a lot of that pressure away and stuff like that. So there will be, I think there could be, I don't think it'll be a role that will phase out, you know, no matter how much tech comes on, there will still be that need for a PA. So if it's something that interests, you know, people, I've always said, you know, if people want any information, you know, I'm happy to, you know, answer questions. If anybody wanted to email me or drop me a message via LinkedIn, then, you know, I like helping the younger people that I see coming into this kind of role.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'll definitely share your website and your LinkedIn and all that fun stuff in the show notes, leaderassistant.com/202. If you want to reach out to Cath, for those listening, definitely check out her website and see what she's up to on the virtual PA side of things. But yeah, Cath, thank you so much again for being on the show and taking time out of your day, and look forward to hearing more about how you continue to grow your business.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for the time. Been lovely to meet you.
Please review on Apple Podcasts. GoBulls.com